Good morning, everyone. Welcome once more to the Aurum podcast, where we discuss all matters that relate to HR and risk advisory. This is your host. My name is Anthony Kuria, and today I have the usual panelists whom I will introduce in a moment. But first and foremost, it's good to understand what this podcast is all about. The Aurum podcast is hosted by Aurum Consultants Limited, a HR and risk advisory consultancy. And here we tackle difficult human resource problems, difficult HR capital problems that affect SMEs and corporates, including NGOs also, and we tackle them using technology, people, and law, basically handling issues to HR and HR-related risks, and we handle them in that matter. Now, today we are coming to the conclusion of the discussion that you've been having this month of August, and that is performance management. Everything that relates to performance management. And today we are having a webinar where we want to discuss this matter at length, even as we come to a close. If you do have questions, kindly post them and we will be glad to be able to discuss them with you. Now, as I said, I want to introduce our panelists today. I have my co-hosts, the in-house HR consultant here at Aurum Consultants, that is Zipporah Kuria. Welcome, Zippy.
Thank you, Anthony. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, Zippy. Good morning, Anthony.
Thank you, Martha. And we have, I don't know, let me just call her the HR expert, that is Martha Thuku. Martha, welcome, and kindly introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Zippy. Good morning, viewers. We appreciate you once more this morning, even as we deliberate on the various matters of HR through this forum. My name is Martha Thuku, and I would, as usual, like to introduce myself and what I do. I work with LVCT Health as the HR and admin manager. I just always want to talk a bit about LVCT Health, which is a great dynamic organization. We help a lot in matters HIV. We support the government in the fight against HIV virus. But one of our key areas in LVCT Health, especially during these hard times, is to support corporates, to support individuals on matters mental health and gender violence that is happening, especially during this season of COVID. And even people have lost jobs. People are anxious in the workplace because of fear of unknown. Right now, I work in NGO sector, and most of the funding is coming to an end in September. There's a lot of anxiety in organizations. So you could reach out to us as a corporate, and we can support you as you support your members of staff navigate through these seasons. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Martha. That's a very important role that LVCT Health does, especially during these very stressful times that are pandemic induced. Now, today, as we wind up, as we now discuss in depth performance management, if I could bring a reminder to what we've been discussing, basically we've been talking about performance management from an employer and an employee perspective. We've said that performance management is really not a tool to be used to frighten people in the workplace. It is not a tool that is used to settle scores. It is not something that ought to induce fear and anxiety amongst staff. But it is basically a tool that should be used for, on a continual basis to enable the management and the employees understand what are the standards that are expected of me. As my job description says what I ought to be doing, am I doing it to the best of my ability? Actually, performance management is really a continuous exercise in helping management gauge how their staff are doing, for staff themselves to gauge themselves how they are doing, how well they are doing as in regards to the targets that have been given, in regards to the job description that have been given, and even enable them not only know that they are attaining what they came to do at the workplace, but even give them an opportunity to, as it were, even grow, become better, and even poise themselves for their next within the organization. So today, Martha, you have prepared for us a presentation, and kindly let us give us what it is all about. I'd love to see what you have prepared for us.
Okay, thank you so much. We will have the presentation shared. Thank you.
Yes. Yes,
So even
even
as we
as the
wait for, go
yes,
ahead,
yes, go ahead.
Tony.
Yeah,
Go
sorry,
ahead,
sorry
it's
for that.
okay.
Yes,
Mm.
as we get the presentation prepared, probably I could ask Zippy, uh, uh, what has been your thoughts concerning this whole week? I mean, this whole month in relation to performance management. I can see Zippy is a bit muted.
Sorry, Anthony, for that. Thank you. Even as Mother prepares to talk to us this morning, I think what has been going through my mind this past month is how can I be prepared as a person
Mm,
to critically look at what I'm doing and
mhm.
evaluate my progress. What can I do to be better at what I'm doing? Because I
Yes.
can only do that if I'm able to evaluate what I've been doing. Am I doing the right way? Am I needing some support to be able to improve who I am? Do I need
Mm,
some sort of a coach to help me move to the
yes.
next level? What do I really need to do so that again I'm not just working for the sake of working? Because I
Yes.
think that can be quite tiring, and at some point you get tired, you lose interest. So how
Mm,
do I get to that place of I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing, and I am not afraid at looking back to see whether I've been able to achieve what I set myself up to do?
all right. All
And,
right.
and and maybe I can add that, Tony.
Yes.
You know, our discussion today will be evolving around the workplace,
Mm,
but I would also want to add when Zippy said evaluating herself,
mm,
you know, even as individuals in our own personal lives.
mhm.
So, every time we are jumping a new year, everyone has goals.
Yes, that is true.
And in my head, I'm thinking right now, it's so important, even as we evaluate organizational goals.
Yes.
What about my own personal goals? I just thought about that at this moment, and it hit me. Okay, what are the goals I set for myself at the beginning
Mhm.
of the year? Where am I at in those goals?
Mm,
And maybe after this podcast, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write to check where I wrote them, I
yes.
evaluate them, and maybe
Mm,
there are some goals I need to adjust, others I need to do things differently.
yes.
Because we have learned in this world, there's something that is constant, and that is what is called change.
Mhm.
So there are some things that may need me to change for them to be attained. But if I
Yes.
keep doing things the way I have been doing them, how will I ever achieve what needs to be done? So that's what I can add as we wait for the presentation to come up. That's what
Yes.
went through my mind, and I can sell it there to our viewers, that we also need to regauge ourselves and evaluate where we are at. Thank you.
All right. All right. Looks like our presentation is ready. We are asking. Yes, Martha, you can go ahead.
Okay, so we go to the next slide. So viewers, we are keenly talking about performance management. We are going to concentrate on the workplace, and we can talk about what exactly is performance management in an organization. I've just been looking at various thoughts of people, and I've been able to summarize some. And mainly, it's a corporate management tool that helps the organization management monitor and evaluate the organization's strategic goal and their attainment. So the most important thing about performance management is that it creates an environment where people can perform to the best of their abilities to produce the highest quality of work and very efficient in an efficient and effective manner. So the most important thing is to know that it's a strategic tool. It has to come from the strategy. And the organization has strategic goals. And when we were talking about strategies sometime earlier in the year, we said a strategy is a tool where the organization just brings out exactly what it's made for, and then it moves and the journey it will take to reach there. And because of that, there are various aspects that they need to consider, the various departments. But at the end of the day, they need to evaluate those goals every now and then, timely feedbacks, and on how they are attaining each of the goals.
Yes.
So a formal performance management program, it helps the organizations to see eye to eye about the
Yeah.
expectations, the goals, and career progress, even of their own staff, including how individuals work to align themselves to that vision, the overall vision of the organization. Let's just say, generally speaking, performance management views individuals in the context of the broader workplace perspective. Next. We can move to the next slide, and we can say, why does performance management matter? Because it focuses on continuous accountability, it creates a healthier, more transparent workplace, and emphasizes on regular meetings that can improve overall communications. Let me just give an example of where I work. This tool, we handle it very well because we handle it through meetings that we call M5s, M4s, where we have the M&E manager who takes all our data where we are at, and we are able to display that data. Each team is able to see where we are at. Each team is supposed to show where we are not performing, the challenges we are experiencing, and then from that whole aspect, we each is able to find out how we can change maybe the strategy in order to attain the goals. And that helps a lot because at every level, and those meetings happen monthly, by the way, and at every level, every team is able to know where they are at. And that maybe could be a seller or a best practice for any organization or any manager watching us today. Because maybe Zippy, maybe what do you think about why performance management matters? Maybe you can add.
Thank you, Martha. I think that's a very good question because, in my opinion, it matters not just at the workplace alone, but even at an individual level. Think about a situation where you have given someone something to do and they've been working, but they are not getting feedback to understand, hi, am I doing the job the way I'm expected to do? Do I need to adjust something? I think it also matters because, as an organization, you need to be able to assess to see, are you growing as an organization, and how can you grow if you're not able to look back and see the steps you've been able to take, what you need to do to improve on those steps. I keep on looking at our team, and we have to look back and see, we set to do this at the beginning of the year as an organization, leave alone at the individual level or departmental level. At the organizational level, when we started, we laid out the plan for the whole year. And we have to, be accountable enough to come back to the team and say, this is what we've been able to do. We've not been able to achieve this because of one, two, three. And the team members are actually able to see, as an organization, we are not moving forward because maybe there's something I am not doing the way I'm expected to do. So I need to adjust. I need to change the way I'm doing things. So ideally, performance management really matters, not just from an organization perspective, but also from an individual perspective.
Okay, so and that is true because performance management actually establishes tools. It creates rules that everyone has, and you get a clear understanding of what the organization is expecting. So when expectations are clear, the workplace then it's I think it's less stressful. Next. So let's talk about performance manage philosophy. So in my view, and I would like even Zippy to share on this, every organization needs to have a philosophy uh, in their overall strategy concerning performance. When you have this philosophy, then what happens is as you're setting your strategy, then performance management for the organization adds up into that strategy. Remember, the overall institutional performance management uh, involves periodic checks and team and then the team stops to just have checks and balances, evaluations on the performance. As I have said for my organization, we have those meetings that we do monthly for the whole organization. The management team, every leader comes and presents what they have been doing, and then we are able to evaluate that. So we are going to kind of narrow this today's discussion to individual performance management and review process, and it is very dear to my heart. So this particular one includes setting smart goals for every member of staff. Next. So this acronym SMART. So we need to know what that is. And those goals must be specific. They must be clear, concise. They must be able to either be quantifiable or qualitative. So that means they're measurable. They must be attainable. We have this idea of people coming to work. You do your things, you go back home, you're tired, you're telling your family you're tired. But when you really look at what you did, you're not able to quantify it. So it's so important to quantify what you do. Then there must be attainable, meaning that it's not something that is vague. It's something that you set and to attain. I like it when, especially where there are clear deliverables, that you're supposed to do this by this time. You're supposed to have achieved this by this time. So even when you're evaluating, that's what you check. They must be realistic and also they must be time bound. Next.
Martha, if you can allow me to just mention something on the SMART acronym, and especially on the area of the goals being attainable. It's important for us to realize if these goals are going to be attainable, as an employer, as a manager, you need to provide the employee with the necessary skills. You need to give them the necessary tools. Because sometimes you set a goal and it's actually a smart goal. But as an employee, I actually lack the tools to be able to do the job. So what happens? I'm not able to actually be able to actualize on that goal. The other thing on this particular acronym, time bound. I've seen a lot of times when we are setting goals, we don't like tying ourselves down to saying, I want to do it by this time. And a lot of times, I think it also comes from a place of not really wanting to be accountable, or you want to keep on pushing the boundaries. And what I've realized, when you put a timeline to something, the truth is you are able to do it because you're able to hold yourself accountable. You're able to look at it and say, I was supposed to do this by this date, by this time, but I was not able to do. Really, what made me not be able to do this? So I think the area of it being attainable and the being the time bound is so critical when you're setting the goals. If you don't put this into consideration, then you're actually going to fail. Because the goal can be specific, yes. It's measurable, yes. If I don't have the tools, will I be able to do the job? No. If I don't have timelines into it, will I be able to do it? Most likely not. So it's very important for us to be very clear about this acronym and how we use it.
Thank you. Next. So what is the purpose of performance management? To many organizations, this can mean many different things, but just generalizing the purpose. So there must be a strategic purpose. As we said, it is going to be part of the strategy. What is the strategic purpose of performance management? Others use performance management, especially for staff, to find out the developmental goals for staff. And because of these developmental goals, you are able to pick what skill does the staff need to administer this. Remember, ZP have talked about having the right skills to do their job. So if this goal has not been attained, is it because we are lacking skills? Is it because we need an extra skill? So some of these things can come during this developmental purpose of the performance management. Another organization, most organizations will use them for administrative purpose, and that is to show how each and every individual is performing. Some organizations use this for annual salary reviews, and they put a score to it, and based on the score, then you are able to get your salary increment. But this may mean different things for different organizations. The most important thing is to make sure that even as you put in the strategy and the performance as part of the strategy, you need to exactly say what is the purpose of performance management in our organization for our staff. Thank you. Next. So the performance management process can be something like this. There's a planning and expectation stage. That's where we call it like goal setting. Then there's a monitoring of what is going on. There's a development and improvement stage. Then, of course, there has to be periodic rating. There has to be check-ins, what I talked about, check-ins for teams, so that we can reevaluate what we set to do. We see whether those strategies are working, and if they are not working, then we set new strategies. We are managers, we are able to, as long as we are not changing the overall goal, our aim is to meet the specific goal that we set to do. And I have said some of the organization use it for rewards and compensation. So at the end of it all, you are able to know which are these people you are rewarding. And then you plan and execute for the next, let me call it strategic year. Thank you. Next. So a hypothetical performance cycle looks like this. Let me talk about, because we are talking about staff, let's start with recruitment. When a start comes in, there is a 90 days, the minimum is 90 days probationary period, and you have goals for that. And once you attain them, then you are confirmed. And once you are confirmed, then you come part of the process and you continue with whatever the organization you're doing is doing. Most of the time, people pass this stage, but you'll find other people, when they are reviewed, then they did not pass this stage because of one reason or the other. One, either they are a mismatch for the organization, and maybe this is where you're encouraged to have difficult discussions during this. You can find someone, okay, they can do the job, but they need a bit more time to acclimatize, or they need an extra skill. So it's not good to quickly try to send someone home at this point. You can put them on something we call a performance improvement plan. And out of that performance improvement plan, you put specific deliverables, maybe for 3 months. And in those deliverables, if there's a extra skill they need, when you're human, you're able to build that skill within that person. You can have on-job training. You can send them for a small training just to make sure they get that skill. And most of the time, the people who go to performance improvement plan, which we call PIP, you'll find at the end of the next 3 months, they will have sailed through. So once someone has passed this stage of 90 days, then they join the organization cycle. Most organizations review the performance of every staff during a process, maybe you can call media review. Our organization calls it biannual. And during that time, you review, each manager reviews with the staff what they set to do with the organization, what is working, what is not working. Is there anything we need to add? Is there anything we need to change? This is where even the developmental issues come in. What skill do you need even to perform better? For the organizations that are staff friendly, these discussions are good. I would advise organizations that are quick to reprimand. It's okay to just work with the staff, get to know what challenges they are facing, and see how you can help them during the media reviews so that they can perform better. Then at the end of it all, I don't know when, it depends on various organizations' end year. It's at various times of the year, but there is always an end year review for that. Let me call it performance year. So you do your annual reviews. This goes through a full performance appraisal process for the staff. And this how it looks like is you have the goals that you set during the beginning of the year, and now we have completed, and then what are the actuals, and based on that you are able to make a decision of how the performance of the employee is. And if for those who give reviews, you're able to you give annual increments, you're able to give a score that will inform how much, what percentage of increments they have. But you can see one big portion, the bigger circle in those three my circles. The bigger circle is ongoing communication. Last week we spoke about performance management. We agreed, please don't let the things pile up to the end of annual review. So during annual review, you are bringing surprises and you are saying, oh, Anthony, there's this thing you are supposed to do, you didn't do. So if I did not tell Anthony about that thing, even in the media review, I should never bring it during the annual review because it's going to be a surprise. So the most important thing is to ensure that there's ongoing communication. As a staff, don't feel shy to go and find out from your line manager, how am I doing? And if you find like this thing, the way you are doing it is not even making sense to you, go back. It's better to go back than now get an annual review that is not favorable because you did not communicate. I want to give Zippy a chance to talk about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. When you're looking at the performance cycle, and there's something earlier actually you said about the philosophy of an organization when it comes to performance management. And I was just looking at the definition of what is a philosophy. And this is really an attitude, the attitude you wear towards something. So, as an organization, what kind of an attitude are we bringing on board when it comes to performance management? When it comes to performance management, the management of this organization, what are we doing to demystify this performance management elephant? We talked about this being the elephant in the room a few weeks back. But should it be an elephant? It should not be. It should not be, like Anthony said, a time to come and settle scores. It should not be this thing that makes everyone, be so tense in a panic mode when they know it's a performance review time. I think we need to make this as a way of doing life in our organizations, as a culture. Let's help our people understand. First of all, before as an organization we achieve the results of your own performance, as an individual, is this benefiting you? One of the things that I've really liked about implementing performance management for organizations, I always like to ask the team leaders at some point, is this process helping you? Because if it's not helping you, then we need to stop and look back what we're not doing right. Because as a person, it needs to help you. And earlier this week, we were doing reviews actually for one of our clients, manager, and I was so blessed by the feedback he gave. And he said, when it started initially, it was not easy. But now when I look at it, it's a mirror. I'm looking back at what I've been able to achieve. And I'm happy, and where I'm not happy, I'm able to adjust. I'm not looking at it from a place of I'm tense, I'm not so sure what my supervisor will say back to me, because we need to be very objective and we need to understand there's nothing personal about this. It's about the job. But a lot of times, this also has to come from the team leaders. They need to understand this should never be personal. It should be very objective. It should be, we are talking about what was supposed to be done, what was achieved, why was it not achieved. As a manager, what can I do to support you? Is there something we can do to help you be able to improve better? We need to be able to give input, give suggestions. Maybe as an employee, maybe you need to look at it from this angle and see how this works for you. One of the things I have learned is not to give people solutions, is to allow people to think through the solutions of the challenges they face at the workplace. And the only way I can do that is to make them think, put different scenarios and help them think through the solution. Because the moment they think through the solution, they're able to implement because they have thought through it and they own the process. The other thing is that the performance management cycle. Mother has really helped kind of break it down very well. And it's important for us to be able to set it up as an organization. This is how we do our reviews. Do we do our reviews every 3 months, every 6 months, once a year? I always say, don't wait to do your reviews at the end of the year, because what happens along the way, so many things would happen. Sometimes you realize you set goals that you thought were realistic
Looks
initially,
like,
but
yes.
you realize
Go
that
ahead,
these
Zippy.
goals, sorry. So I was saying sometimes it's important to be able to look at these goals more frequently. I always advocate for, if you're doing your reviews mid-year and end of the year, help your
Yes,
team
even as
members
Zippy,
formulate a system.
uh, even as Zippy continues talking, it looks like
Can you hear me?
there was a bit of interruption on her end. But as we continue, as our listeners, as our viewers continue listening to our presentation today, I hope that you are getting to understand that this is a cultural thing. It's something, I think it's Martha, or one of our guests earlier this month, who talked about creating a culture where things flow. So, so I like the way that we've been flowing, and I like the fact that we have put it across to our viewers and our listeners that, look, performance management is something that you create, you run with it. It ought not to be an elephant in the room. It ought not to be something that even you as a manager you dread. I mean, you're thinking, okay, I have that employee who gives me stress. I'm not looking forward to doing this thing at the end of the year. But if it is something that is continual, if it is something that you participate, because you as a manager are also being reviewed, even if you're the CEO. I mean, if you're the CEO, you have a board that will also review you. Yeah, yeah. So it's important for you as a CEO, and I know most managers, if you really know what you're doing in your business, you probably have a chart somewhere that you're looking and seeing, okay, in these metrics we are here, in these metrics we are here, in these metrics we are here. So we are bringing it down now to the staff at the shop floor, at the floor, to know in these metrics, I'm supposed to be here. In this, I'm here. If I'm in sales, we're supposed to be here. If I'm in HR, even because you as a HR, you're also measuring yourself. This is where we have attained A, B, C, D. And therefore, if it becomes a continual thing within an organization, we are all knowing that we are flowing like a river going to this particular promised land called profitability, growth, and job satisfaction. Yeah. So Zippy, sorry, I cut you short. I don't know whether it was me or it was you, where there was a bit of interruptions. But yes, thank you for that. For that discourse on what Martha was saying. So Martha, I think you're still continuing on the same. Probably you can continue with the presentation I mean, the presentation that you were giving us.
Okay, and I like that discussion of ongoing communication. So that's a most important aspect about performance management, so that we don't have surprises at the end. As a manager, when the person you're managing comes and start challenging you on how you have appraised them, then there's a problem, and maybe that problem needs to be addressed. But if you have made it specific, so during the reviews, like Zippy has said, don't wait for the end of year to do your reviews. Have those monthly meetings, even in your department. Get to see how each person is performing and
Yes.
listen to them. What maybe they need other things, and like that part of developmental, that place is very important. And there are various
Yes.
things you can do to develop people. One of the things that ZP has said that is very, very strong, she mentioned about how she lets people do things, think things through. That is called coaching. And it's important to introduce coaching. Coaching helps someone remove the power from within. They make their own decisions. You know, when someone owns something, when it's my decision, I'm able to run with it and I can
Yes.
even do better. And when I fail, I know I have failed. And so I look for a different solution to do it. Other than when you are imposing things on people, and then it is your way, and they are not able to do it. And then now you give them a poor score just because they were not able to do it your way. But if you left them to do it their way, maybe you don't know what it could have come. So those are some of the things that we would want to highlight. Uh, and now I would want to say to you, employer and managers, some of the benefits of performance management. And as I said in the discussions of developmental purpose, it highlights training needs. It's at that part of discussion that you get to see which skill gap do you have in your staff as a manager. So those reviews help a lot, and you can help let us understand the skills of the employee. And some of the areas we have said, it's through coaching, it can be on job training, it can be sending someone to a course, and many other things that you can do just to improve a skill. So then it boosts the morale. Performance management boosts morale for your staff. So you know, every person, wherever you are seated, old, small, I remember I told my grandmother that she looks good. She's very old. She's 102. But
Wow.
the smile on her face, just, everyone likes hearing good things. Huh? So
Definitely.
it is very important to boost the morale of your staff. Tell them this one you did very well. Uh, and happy employees then equals to productive employees. So
Yes.
performance management can help you do this, achieve this. The next thing is it helps with identify the right employees for promotion. So even during those discussions, you get to see when your staff is next to for the next level. So there are some organizations who just pinpoint, oh, ZP is a good staff. No one is basing that on anything.
Yeah.
Just because I like Zippy, I promote her. And at times you can promote someone to their failure because maybe they have not reached there. Maybe you need to build more skills for them to go to that level you want to promote them. So when you are doing performance appraisal, you are seeing those gaps. You even get to see which people are for succession planning or even promotion to a higher level. So you can identify these things during performance management. And then it also supports workforce planning. And I have talked about succession planning. During
Yes.
performance management, you're able to know, you need to have succession planning for every position because things can happen. I'm not saying people will die, but you can see how quickly people are dying of COVID. Today
Yes.
you have talked to someone, then tomorrow you are hearing they stopped breathing. And that is the reality we are living on today. And I'm not talking about having a succession planning because people are dying. You can have a succession planning that can be necessitated by someone being promoted. So if you promote me to the next level, who will be in my desk? And it's very important that every manager has someone that will help you even go on leave. There are some people who don't go on leave because they have not
Yeah.
they have not trained someone who can sit in their desk. You get,
Yes.
I when I worked, I think in the bank, and there are some people who are forced to go on leave. they never used to want to go on leave. They thought if they are not there, the bank will not
Continue.
continue. I can tell you there is no one who shouldn't go on leave. The law provides at least you take a rest 2 straight weeks without disturbance. And so, as a manager, when you know this, then you are able to build someone to sit in for you. And then you take the two. Do you know that 2 straight weeks are needed? You need them, especially with the challenges of life today. You need to go on a break. If you can afford it, go for a holiday
Yeah,
and
that's true.
stop thinking about work environment. But you can't do this if you don't have succession planning. And you can't have succession planning if you don't have some form of performance management that helps you to evaluate who are those people who are strategically placed to succeed to the next level of the organization. And then lastly, I can say that it helps in employee retention. As I said, happy employees, they are productive employees, they feel they belong, they own the organization, and you will see the turnover rate will decrease. Thank you. Next. And as we go next, Zippy, please contribute.
Just go back to the previous slide, kindly. Mother, when you're talking about succession planning, that reminded me of a situation I was handling. And it's interesting how, as managers, we always think our teams are not able to grow to that point of they can run the department when we're not there, or they can be able to handle some tasks without us looking over their back. And one of the things, and I always like telling stories because I have gone through this. I have gotten to a point where I've gotten burnouts, and I realized I cannot be everything. I can't be everywhere. If I'm everywhere, at some point, I will drop the ball at another place. And I had to learn the hard way. Number one, to trust people, to train people, and to mentor people to get to, even if not where I am at, they are able to do responsibilities in my department without me necessarily having to look over their back every minute to make sure the work is being done. And that can only come from when you trust people and you lay down clear expectations. So this issue of succession planning is so critical. And Mother, you said it so blatantly, and I'm like, wait, Mother, do you have to use that example? We are losing people every day. Today you are okay. Tomorrow something happens, and before we realize, you're completely, not able to come back to work. Probably sometimes we lose people, they're dying. So what happens as an organization when you did not have a succession plan? Everyone starts scrambling and trying to figure out what was this guy doing before he fell sick, what was happening in this department. So it's always important to have what I call a mafia. Have someone you're mentoring, have someone you're coaching who can take after you. And like we always say, you are only as good as your team members. If you're not able to bring your team members to the level where you are at, then as a leader, you're not doing a good job.
Yeah,
Right.
and I can say, ZP, one of the lessons that are very hard to learn, and for every manager, it's a growth area, is letting go.
Mm.
We think we become irrelevant when we help other people become like us. It's unfortunate.
It may not even be, yeah, it can be that, but
Yeah.
it can also be that you feel like the ship will sink. Like for you now, being the head of Aurum, you feel like, if I let go, Aurum will sink. And what I can say is the ship will not sink.
Mm.
The most important thing is when you have done a good job, you can actually promote yourself out of a job. And what I have learned about life is that when you have, when you have something and you're holding with one hand, if you don't pass it to this hand will remain closed. So nothing new will come to this hand. And that goes to even developing your people and giving your position to another person. If you continue going that around circle, the heavens that are seeing, it's like a closed hand. There's nothing new that will come from heaven because the heavens have nowhere to add. But
Yes.
if you if you if you work yourself out of a job, then the heavens have no other not otherwise but to present you to your next level. So to move to your next level, you have to make yours someone else's next level. And and that's how I view things. And that's why you're able to work with staff. You look at the people you are managing, and you start thinking about them one by one. And you're thinking, should I not be here? Who can take over?
Mm-hmm.
Who can take over? Who can take over? Should I get another job and move out? Let's not use COVID now.
Mm-hmm.
What will happen to this place when I go? Should
Mm-hmm.
I something happens and then you go abroad, for you have been sponsored? What are you going to who are you going to leave to run that ship? So it's important to do that. And I can tell you, it's a challenging area for managers. Even when you have given,
Yeah.
you still want to go back and, don't do that. You struggle. It's okay to close your eyes. Okay, you have given me something to do. I'm not doing it your way. Is it
Yes.
possible to just close your eyes? You see the outcome of what
Yes.
I'm doing. Because at the end
Mm.
of the day, is the end result. So I don't know whether it's the means that is equals to the end, or the end is equals to the means. But what do I bring out at the end with this process that I have taken? And then coaching is, I come, Tony, you are my manager. I ask you, and this is how you build me in this performance management story. I
Yes.
ask you, how do I do this? If you tell me, bring it here, I'll do it when I'm ready. I can bring 10 things and they are all pending.
Yes, that is true.
But if you ask me, how do you think we can do it? Go think, then you come back. You get. So you
Mm.
are released. You don't think, you are released to do other things. Then I come back, I say, Tony, this is actually what I think we should do. And then you tell me, go and do, and tell me how the feedback is. So we have a conversation after the end. So you didn't see the means, but I bring the end and I did it, and this is how it has come. So
Mm.
slowly, by the end of the day, Tony, you will feel like you're the one who has built me.
That is
And
true. That is
and
very
you can
true.
and it's very possible to say, I'm ready for the next level. But
Yes.
managers don't want it may not be even they are fearing for their position.
Yes.
It may be just that we have personality things. There are some people who are so good, like the person who manages our podcast. He's very particular on things, and I don't know if he can
Yes.
even let me run this podcast, because he will wonder how will it and it is a personality thing. And I
Yes.
talk to those personalities. It's important just to let go, and you can let go slowly. Please
Yes.
don't even feel the urge to
That is
take
very
it
true.
to check. So that's
Yes.
that's what I can say about that. And we can go to the next slide, unless Tony or Zippy, you have something to add.
Well, our time is almost up. Our time is almost up. But yeah, Martha, you can wrap it up even as we finish.
So the wrap up is to just conclude.
Yes.
Once your employees are aware of the wider business objectives and the contribution of those business objectives,
Mm.
they are relatively free to make their own choices about how they go about their responsibilities. As a result, they become happier, they become more committed, they are more productive, they are more loyal, they will not leave you, and they feel
Mm.
dedicated. And that is what performance management bring. That's the end of the means that's the end of the performance management that help you achieve your goals at the end. I will leave it there. Zippy, if you want to add before we conclude, thank you.
Thank you, Martha. I think you have covered it very well. I mean, at the end of the day, we need to look at what we are trying to achieve as an organization and make sure we lay down our objectives very clear and we give our staff the necessary tools, we give them the training they need, and coach them to be able to achieve those goals. At the end of the day, every business is there to make profits. Even with the NGOs, in as much as you're not making profits, you are there to achieve a certain agenda. So it's important for our employees to understand in very simple terms what are the expectations. And I think once that is clear, it becomes easier for them to be able to align themselves with the organization objectives.
Wow, wow. Ladies, today we have done a very nice wrap up of this particular topic regarding performance management. Indeed, as Martha, you have concluded, if you carry out performance management right as a business person, as a manager, as a CEO, then you'll have happier, more committed, more focused, more loyal staff working for you, and that you'll be able to do this. We thank you, our listeners, for taking time to listening to us. Thank you, Martha, for this wonderful presentation. Thank you for being here this month to enable us to to chambua this particular topic pretty well. Thank you for giving us those powerful nuggets of about philosophy, about being monitoring and evaluation, and the benefits of it. To our listeners, thank you for taking time to listen to us. You can get in touch with us. You can see at the bottom of your screen the contacts that you can use to reach us via LinkedIn, via Facebook, via YouTube, even through phone and email addresses using our website. And we appreciate, would love to hear your feedback uh, from you concerning what we are discussing and what you'd like us to discuss all about. And therefore, we thank you for taking your time. Even as we come to a close, Aurum Consultants, as we said, we are here to deal with issues regarding HR and risk advisory and risk matters, especially business risks, and would love to help you tackle the same. So, till next week, we appreciate you for being with us. Thank you, Martha, for taking time to be with us. Thank you, Zippy, even for giving us your continued wisdom when it comes to HR. And we're looking forward to the month of September, where we'll tackle a new topic that regards HR. As for that, ladies, let's wish each other a nice weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.